One thing that comes to mind is there was a time when Prabhupada was having some physical challenges. And I had come from a sort of a health food background. And there was a doctor in India that also said, no, Prabhupada should eat raw food. I thought, yes, this is good. This is good. I can do that. I can make raw food preparations. And so I told Prabhupada that. I said, this person has suggested eating a very light diet, no ghee. And he said, well, I can do this. I will do this. So I thought, oh, this is going to be really good. This, his health will become strong. And I prepared one meal like that, and he ate. He said, this was very good. And the next morning, morning prasad was almost always just fruit, simple things. And so I said, what would you like for lunch? And he said, dal, rice, chapatis, halava. And I asked him about the raw diet. He said, since I was a child, I have always loved prasadam, and I'm not going to give it up now. He said, Krishna will protect me. I will eat prasadam and Krishna will protect me. Then, along those lines, there was a time when I was feeling a little bit challenged in my body. I was feeling that ghee and sugar and some of the general fare was too heavy. I would tend to sleep or I would get sick. And when I ate very light food, I would be healthy. And devotees told me, that's Maya. That if you take prasadam, Krishna will bless you. Whatever you get is just a tiny fragment of your karma. So devotees just eat prasadam and they don't worry about health food stuff. So that makes sense. That's philosophically sound. But still, the practical day-to-day stuff was, if I ate a light diet, I served a lot better. I was a lot clearer. So I asked Prabhupada, remembering what he had said for himself. And I said, Srila Prabhupada, when I eat light, it's easier. When I eat heavy, it's heavier. And I understand the principle of just taking prasadam and accepting Krishna's mercy. What should I do? And I was fully ready to do whatever he told me to do. And he said, you should just take prasadam if you're Rupa Goswami. He said, but if you're a neophyte, which all of you are, you have to decide what is good for your devotional service and what is not good for your devotional service. Then I asked him, I said, well, how, if I'm feeling sick and I need to eat something other than what's offered to the deities, how do I offer it? How do I feel like I'm taking prasadam? And he said, if you need to prepare something simpler than what's being prepared for the deities, you prepare it at the same time, you set it aside in a place, it doesn't go on the altar, but it's set aside, and after the offering is over, it's also offered. He said, but you can't make better than Krishna. He said, if you have to take simple, you can do it that way, but you can't make opulent without offering.
Srila Prabhupada came to New York in 1968. He had just come from Montreal, and it was Radharani's appearance day. He came into the temple and fell on the Vyasa sun. And the first thing he said was, I want to thank Srimati Radharani for the beautiful painting she did of Radha and Krishna. And this was the big painting of Radha and Krishna and the 8 gopis that was in the Montreal temple. And he said, I want you to train all the brahmacharinis to paint. Then he said, you should look at these women as goddesses of fortune and not as your objects of enjoyment. So I thought that was very nice.
When we were in Bombay, we were staying in a place called Chembur. It was kind of out on the suburbs of Bombay. And it was in that initial time when there was the original group of devotees. And it was very sweet. We would all go in Prabhupada's room every morning and in the evening also, and it was just dialogue. It was very confidential and open. So the whole mood was really nice. One afternoon, I made paneer, fresh paneer, without pressing it. And I offered it with his fruit offering at 4 o'clock. I put a little honey on top and a little cinnamon or something. And I took it in and he ate about half the bowl. And he didn't comment, but I saw that he had eaten quite a bit, so I thought, oh, I found something that Prabhupada likes. So the next day I made it again. And I took it in, and when I came to get his tray, there was 1 bite gone. So I thought, well, maybe he's not in the mood for it today. So a 3rd day, I made it again. And when I came in to get his plate, he hadn't touched it. And he said, the paneer is very nice, very tasty. But he said, as brahmacharis, he said, we can only eat paneer once a week. He said, otherwise, sex desire. He moved his hand. So that was the paneer instruction.
One time, as Prabhupada's guard there, Prabhupada had me doing something in his room, and Prabhupada, he said, he asked me, where is Bhagavan? I said, I don't know, Srila Prabhupada. And he said, bring me Bhagavan. I said, right now? He said, yes, bring me Bhagavan. And he was so firm, and he looked at me like, in such a look that, it was imperative that, above anything else, I better go get Bhagavan right now. So I ran all along the wall of Mayapur, down the different ages, and Bhagavan wasn't even in the grounds of the temple. And so now, I said, has anyone seen Bhagavan? He said, I think he went to the Ganga. So I remember I was thinking, well, I should go back and tell Prabhupada that if he wants me to go all the way to the Ganga. And I said, and I just thought, it's very imperative, Prabhupada, once my instruction was to get Bhagavan and bring him there. So I remember I ran all the way out the gates and all the way through the fields, all the way to the Ganga, and Bhagavan was giving a class at the time at the Ganga, and there was about 50 devotees there sitting and listening. And I remember coming up to him and I said, excuse me, I wasn't a bashful or in a bash. It was probably one something. I figured, well, I'm not going to be beat around the bush. And I said, Arbo, please excuse me, but Srila Prabhupada wants to see you right now. I said, yeah, I'll go there, and so I'll finish here. I'll go this way. And I said, I'm sorry, Prabhu, but Prabhupada wants to see you right now. And he looked at me like, yeah. I said, I'm just coming. And then I got more emphatic. You don't seem to understand. Prabhupada wants you right now. So get your stuff and let's go. I told him like that, and he had never seen such arrogance in a brahmachari. I think that's commanding him to go do this. But anyway, somehow I think he felt my purpose, and I practically grabbed him to come and get it. And when I was going there, he was a little bit slower coming through the gate, so I ran straight up to Prabhupada's thing, and Prabhupada was still in that pose. He was still looking as if he hadn't even broken his glance from when he told me before. And he looked at me, and then as soon as he came in, he was like waiting for the report. He said, I have brought him Srila Prabhupada. He was at the Ganga, and he says, very good. And I was like, whew, a great weight coming up. So that one has to be, Prabhupada was unabashed, in the sense that as a disciple, we have to follow his instructions. That's our very life and soul. We have no idea what Krishna consciousness is out. None of us understood it about Krishna, who he was, or devotional service, or Sankirtan, or prasadam. None of these things. It wasn't except for Prabhupada who gave us that. And his instructions to us, disobeying or not following his instructions, meant we were nowhere. So even such a simple instruction, that we have no meaning why or what did he want it for, but it was so emphatically said it that that we better do it, and we better do it right and now. And there wasn't anything, I think, my mind was determined there wasn't anything Bhagavan to do. Literally, if I have to carry him there, then he was going to have to come see Prabhupada.